All right, good morning. You guys hear me in YouTube land? Please let me know. And or Discord. You can hear me, Gabriel? Thank you very much. All right, I'll be back in a minute after the disclaimer stuff.
Risk disclosure statement. There is a risk of loss in trading stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, derivatives, options, forex, and cryptocurrencies. This risk can be substantial, and therefore investors should carefully consider their financial stability prior to trading. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. The software, strategies, chat rooms, websites, and any associated websites or digital venues are for educational purposes only and should not be considered as an express or implied promise or guarantee that you will profit that losses may be limited in any manner whatsoever. Users of the information accept full responsibility for the outcomes of their deployment to most Apple Trader, LLC, and any associated companies, agents, or management, owners and customers harmless without reservation. Please trade responsibly. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, Rule 4.41, hypothetical and simulated trading performance results have certain inherent limitations, some of which are described herein. No representation is being made that any account below is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those shown. In fact, there are frequently sharp differences between hypothetical or simulated performance results and the actual results subsequently achieved by any particular trading program. One of the limitations of hypothetical performance results is that they are generally prepared with the benefit of hindsight. In addition, hypothetical trading does not involve financial risk, and no hypothetical trading record can completely account for the impact of financial risk in actual trading. For example, the ability to withstand losses or adhere to a particular trading program and file trading losses are material points which can also adversely affect actual trading results. Because these trades have not actually been executed, the hypothetical results may have under or overcompensated for the impact, if any, of certain market factors such as lack of liquidity. There are numerous other factors related to markets in general and to implementation of any specific trading program which cannot be fully accounted for in simulated trading or in the preparation of hypothetical performance results at all, of which can adversely affect actual trading results.
This trade was on this webinar, so I'm not intending to mirror my trades or to give specific trade analysis of my share trades, such trades that I take for myself based on my personal analysis. With all the services to trades, I identify specific areas of trade and themselves that ultimately lead to decision shares. Trading is extremely risky, and you decide to follow my personal trade, you do so at your own risk and can potentially lose your entire account and more. I'm not always profitable, and I have 15 items on trading accounts. The spreadsheet you're access to is my personal spreadsheet that I use to add its own values and ADR values that we do exact prices for my trades. You can see when I add its own prices into the master spreadsheet, as well as prices that trades whether you the long or short. You have the ability to copy the spreadsheet and enter your own values and use mine to confirm its own prices until you're able to draw its own spread for yourself. The spreadsheet is not telling you which direction to trade, as it has set your prices and stop prices for long and short positions depending on which way you personally decide to trade.
All right, good morning. Things are a little crazy in these other markets, not so much in equities. Nothing really going on in there. Hold on. Looks like I'm muted on Discord. Give me a second here. There you go. You guys should hear me on Discord too. Sorry about that. All right, so obviously something went down yesterday. I still haven't seen a clear reason for this ridiculous, especially lately, this kind of sell-off. I was, of course, gone, and that's why we sold off. I have a joke with my trade room when I leave. It opens the door for this kind of move, but that's pretty substantial. I'm seeing there was really no news, but when you read Spot Gamma here, yesterday a lot of elements of a flash crash, the only apparent trigger of downside action were the flows that caused them. So he talks about hero readings were 4 billion on the day, and then at that auction, after the bond auction, the negative deltas began to build. The first wave was the call selling, the red box that's here, and then the second wave was put buying, the yellow box. Both cases, the flow is predominantly zero date to expiration flow. We can tell because the spread between the lines are equidistant, and the end result of lows hero are minus 3 billion. So it went from plus 4 billion to minus 3 billion, so 7 billion in option flow, which is an absolute ton. And then he says here, therefore, there's roughly 7 billion. So I just said, and that's just the S&P 500 Chronicle class. Last night, Mag 7 added another 1.5 billion in negative delta. So you can see all this on this hero, right? Not right now, but this is actually selling off again. This is over $1 billion move right here, and you can see this market is responding to it. So again, this is one entity in the market, right? These dealers get loaded up with options, call, bullish or bearish, and then they have to turn around and hedge in the futures. So they're getting loaded up as this moves down. That's bearish. Dealers are long. Dealers have to come over to the futures and hedge themselves. So you can see it's having an effect in the market. This market just dropped 15 points. Some days it's moving in tandem. Other days, this is not the only game in town, right? There's bigger money. I would assume today there'd be some bigger money playing in here after yesterday's move, but you know, you want to keep an eye on this, and there's definitely edge in watching this, especially with our volume setups. The SI indicator Bookmap volume setups that I use, which is the core of my trading, which is all I talk about on these webinars. There are many edges you can come up just with this here alone, let alone what I'm doing, you know, for myself and my trading in my trade room. So let me get this golf stuff off here. So anyway, kind of whipsaw city in these other markets today. I took losses in gold and crude. I took some Izzy trades. I had made a mistake in gold. I should have been honest some of these, but I took this trade earlier. And I have rules of where I will, you know, piece out of some of my positions. So I originally took this trade here, and it was a decent 40-50 tick winner, and I just was distracted. I was doing these zones for my trade room, and I just didn't see where I yellow lug. But anyway, this was an inflection zone. I'll show you here, and we did run into. This was the yellow lug. I'll show you here in a second. But I did trail my stop to that, but it did come back. But this is where I should have got out of this trade. Not all of it, but partial, because this is. We'll look at some of these rules that I have where I pay myself as it makes money available to me. So that was. I'm short bonds, by the way. And I will not make the mistake here in bonds if this gets down to yellow lug. Let me actually put this in right here. Let me put my resting order in. So that's 31. I'll go take it above there. So I'll come back to that, go over that trade. It's nice to have a winner after the beatdowns I took in gold and crude today. But anyway, that was the first event I just showed you. That was up here. I should have covered some here, especially when yellow lug is, these are Ludwig levels, we'll go over these, but that was confluent with VWAP. I should have covered some, and I just wasn't paying attention, and it came all the way back and stopped me out. So now I'm actually long, and I'm getting whipsawed the other way. So this was the most recent event here. This buy ice, and we got the ATR, the retest, and I took a BARC blind ATR retest confirm. We'll go over these trade strategies here shortly, but I took that, and I took a lick trade. There's lick up there. I think there's a little more up there, but now it's snapping back. So my stop should have been right here. I actually moved it down below this prior event because I don't like to stop out in events, but that's pretty close to getting stopped out that way too. So kind of getting whipsawed today in those markets. And then crude, this was just a loser. Like, there was nowhere for me to get out here. You can see here though, it bounced off perfectly before I got short here, right off the blue lug. This is why we use these things. They're ridiculously powerful. But it came up here. I actually got short. I mean, I guess I could have got some at baby lug, but there was really nothing for me to get out, and I just took a loser on that one. But I'm now working in order to go long here. We'll go over that, but this was the original setup that I took right here. And we got, sorry, wrong color. That was sell ice, and we got that, and I got in short. It did move a little bit in my favor, but again, there was no reason for me to get out for what I look at, and it came back and got some new events and stopped me out. Now currently, this is the most recent event, and I'm going to potentially go long here. This is a buy stop run. There were a couple buy stop runs actually. Turn this off for a second. This is market pulse. So you had a buy stop run here and here, and then you had, so these are the requirements for certain trading strategies they have. You got the full ATR. Here's your retest. We actually have a trade that's called a reversion trade that plays for that move back to the event. Now if this moves back out, I'm taking BARC and lick longs here. Those are resting orders waiting to be filled if it comes back, and those prices are to go long in crude. I will be going long at 86, stops at 15. I could put on a run up to 8. And then those trading strategies I was talking about, so that's the BARC blind ATR retest confirm. That's basically any volume event that moves the ATR, moves back, retests the trading, or the volume event moves away. I'll take that trade. And then the liquidity trade is the same. It's like a BARC, but I'm trading towards liquidity. That's like my ultimate goal. This is not a huge trade for this liquidity, but I'll take that if it moves out of there. It's actually, the risk reward for this is not good at all. Actually, now that I look at it, right? If you're going to take liquidity trades, you want to make sure, you know, if I'm getting in at 86, well, I'm only in it, if I'm trading for that liquidity, I'm only getting 14 ticks of profit, risking all the way back below this volume event. That is not a good risk reward trade. So I'm actually going to delete that. I didn't see that when I put that on. All right, when I put the order of workings, let me get out of that one. That comes back. That's not right either. Hold on a second. I'm trying to find my for 71. All right. So I just got the bark working on this particular setup. Oh, yeah, actually the other thing I could put on here is a Izzy trade. That's what I did have working. I was wondering why I had that working. So this is a Izzy zone. It's kind of a different variation where the market moved. So these are inflection zones, right? These are available in my trade room. They're available for subscription if you guys just want. You can't get in my trade room. I'll post that here in a second. But anyway, the market moved above here, came back in this zone. I'm willing to take that long. So the way I trade is I have important areas that, or areas that I deem important, right? And for you, they could be completely different. You can be using other things. The key is to find your areas that you deem important and then wait for the volume event, which is happening right now, which is the driver of the trade, right? And then having rules for that and then taking the trade. So that I just showed you that important zone, inflection zone, right? Now it's back in there. I got a volume event. I'll take that trade. Actually, I should have already been long on this one, but I just didn't get in it. So if it comes back out, I'll take the long off of that. But I have, all these trading strategies are my important areas, right? So lug, a stop run and a major lug. We just talked about the lugs. Those are Ludwig levels. I call them lugs for short so I don't have to say Ludwig level 100 times on a webinar. The leg trade, the Izzy trade, that's the inflection zone trade I just showed you. Then we have all these other ones. So there's a bunch in the hopper as well, but these are the main ones that I'm focusing on right now and teach my room. Profiles and courage trade, we'll go over all these, but so these are my important areas. Then I wait for my distinct, not mine, but the distinct stop iceberg indicator setups in those areas, and then I have rules how I trade these setups in my important areas. So that's what I'm doing. Sounds very complicated, but trust me, it's not. It's and again, from watching thousands of these things, I have distinct rules. So and they work, and it's the best edge I've ever seen. All right, this came real close to my fill here, and I did not get filled. So I was short bonds from this morning. So this was an example of an Izzy trade. So we had a bunch of sell ice here early on. Actually, more just came in here. So someone was selling a bunch of it, and you see how this market reacted, but it did move out of here. The time I got filled to the tick and it came back, it didn't stop me out because this is exactly why I place my stop in ATR above the volume event, so I don't get algoed out of the trade, right? It's got to prove it can push back through the volume event and it more than an ATR out of the zone, and then I say, Uncle, you win, and I stop out of the trade, right? So I did not stop out, and I still have that on. Again, I didn't get on any right there because it didn't hit the area I was looking at. So I was looking forward. It did bounce off extreme standard deviation. So this is, I should have got out of at least one of them here. I got 4 on. I traded double size here, but I had 4 on. You can see this. We talk about this all the time in my trade room. If an area or a level is showing a response, next time there, you want to make sure, it's probably going to respond again. So I was trying to get down to yellow lug here. I should have got out of at least one of them right here. That was just an error because I'm on the webinar. So I just cost myself. It's already 10 ticks and counting against me, so that's not cool. But you can see another trade I missed here as well is the I lug U. So there was icebergs at the red lug. You can see how well this lug held. We've already seen 2 today. This is why we use these. Great resistance area, and it held. So I should add actually both of those trades on, and I just missed that because I've been like a chicken with my head cut off today. And that's the strategy. I lug you. We name them. The acronyms are meant to be memorable, funny, right? So I lug you is take any fade trade with an iceberg event into a major lug with an ATR retest confirmed. So that's exactly what happened there. So that was the major lug. Just looked at it. and it did do, at the time, it did the ATR retest, and I should have been short that strategy as well. I just missed it. So I'm hoping this comes back. Comes back so I can get out of one of these. I just screwed that up. This is going to suck if this comes all the way back on me, but I should have been on one. And that's why I pay myself, as I'm correct, at areas I deem important. And all those areas are on this sheet. This is available for my trade room that you can come in and get it. I pay myself as the market makes money available to me. So obviously Ludwig levels, market profile, composite highs, lows, VWAP, standard deviations. That's what that just bounced off of. I just showed you that was like the 2.5 standard deviation of VWAP to the downside. Spot gamma levels, struggle to get through resting liquidity. So these are all areas that I will piece out of some of my trade, paying myself as the money makes available to me. So, and I did not do that there because I was not paying attention. All right, so nothing is happening in equities. There was one setup this entire morning. I mean, there was some stuff pre-market, and it looks like we may be retesting this in NASDAQ. You can see here, there's a bunch of sell ice. So this is, I'm going to post this here in a second, but you can get this zone drawer. This is a godsend. The guy in my trade room, developer, smart, very smart guy, figured out how to have these zones draw automatically to the subchart spikes. So you can see here, this was some decent sell ice pre-market, right? So it definitely looked like it did the ATR retest, but I did not go short at the time because algo guy, this is my filter for the barks and licks trade. They have to be in that direction. I mean, this has to be in the direction of those strategies. So all this is an exponential moving average. So the blue is the short term, the red is the long term. These are just individual moving averages. They call it a ribbon, right? So if the blue's below the red, that's bearish. If the blue's above the red, it's bullish. So I need this to as a filter to confirm my bark and lick trades, right? So I wasn't going to take that trade earlier. It finally did cross up here. So potentially now, if this did, since algo guy is finally crossed, if this does come back, retest failure, I could take a short off of this. I'm always wary of taking trades off volume events that happen pre-market, right? But I will consider that if it comes back. Otherwise, there's probably going to be a new event here. I'm surprised there hasn't been a single one since the open, especially after what happened yesterday. So a little surprised on that, but we'll see. Hold on, I think I heard someone put something in my trade room here. Okay. This was Russell. So this does look like an ATR retest. Now let's just see what algo guy looks like. Potentially go short off of this. Algo guy is bearish. It's trying to pull back bullish right now. But if that were to come back, as long as it doesn't violate to the upside, we'll go over this here. I will short Russell. So let's make sure this zone is correctly. So this zone's in beta mode. These aren't perfectly drawn yet. A lot of them are, but some of them you have to go in here and zoom out. So I would combine both of these. This was threshold, meaning threshold is just the amount of volume that I, from watching so many of these and all these different products, that I find is a tradable amount, right? It's not just trading every spike in this SI indicator, the stop iceberg indicator. It has to hit a certain amount for me to feel that it's an important area or an important amount of volume that's going to affect the market potentially. So you can see this started a spike right there that drew perfectly for that first one, the top of it anyway, and then it starts to spike more there, and then more there, and then this looks like it spiked a little bit more here, maybe. No, 180. So I'd have that as the bottom, this right here for right now, and then we'll adjust it as we go across and add the new one. I should have already done this. This was a while ago. I just didn't get a chance to get over here. And then this was the second one that fired off. That looks correct for the bottom, right? That last spike. So when it flatlines, this is just going for a minute. I have my SI indicators subchart set at reset mode, right? So it's just gonna, whatever amount of time you put in there, that's how far it will draw. You can see here, this ended right at the minute mark, right? Well, that doesn't necessarily mean the icebergs are still coming in for that full minute. I have it there to try to incorporate the icebergs because they tend to come in slower than stop runs. But when you see it flatlining here, you don't have to include the prices in the flatline. I did that wrong for many years. We've changed it. So just make sure you're just drawing it to the final spike and not the prices that happen once this flatlines. Right? So you can see here, these are my So I have my reset mode at a minute for icebergs and 10 seconds for stops. So 10 seconds is probably too long for stops too, because stops are pretty instantaneous, but I just want to make sure I see them all. But then you can adjust with the spikes. So anyway, I would put the top here, 07, last 2 digits, all the way down to 6. So this is a pretty wide zone, but ATR is 50. So this is about an ATR width. If I'm going to make this one zone, so I can go like this. And that incorporates all the sell ice actually. Actually got some waves of buy ice here too. I'll just keep this like it is. 07 to 2030.7 to 2026. So now you come to this is part of my room as well. You can get a subscription to this if you can't get in the room. I will post this shortly here. Actually, let me just post it right now because I'll forget. So this is if you want the drawing tool beta, you got to go to Bookmap. It gives you instructions how to do it. Click on this document. You got to go to Bookmap. Contact in the channel that this will send you to. Contact him and he'll get you set up. And then this is my new course, updated, 5 hours of content. It goes over everything that I'm doing as far as the setups, the settings, everything. The 6 distinct setups that I'm using in the important areas that we're talking about. And then if you just want to get the spreadsheet that I'm using and the inflection zones that I'm talking about, if you can't get in my room, they're free to my room, but if you can't get in there, then you can just go here and get there's a spreadsheet, here's the inflection zone there if you want them both. So I'll post this in YouTube like I usually do. That's in there. Brian Murray says, how can I get the algo guy you always mention on your webinars? That's it's just an exponential moving average ribbon on Thinkorswim. You can basically program it in any software. We have the templates in my trade room if you come in there. Other than that, I will post what it is, and you can kind of figure it out for yourself here. Let me. There's a good video on it, and you can come up with 10 trading strategies just from this thing. Just trying to find it here. Hold on. So I will post this in YouTube as well. I'm not posting anything in Discord. The stuff's all already in that channel from past. You can just scroll up and find all this stuff. So whatever, just come to YouTube if you need these links. But all these are in. So there you go, Brian. Watch that video, and it shows. This is what it is here, right? So this explains what it is. So, and you can come up with strategies just on that alone. There you go. All right, so what was I doing here? I gotta put this on in. All right, so I'm gonna try to go short here if I can stop talking here for a second and get this damn zone in. So, so what did I say here? 2030.7, so I'm going to plug this in my spreadsheet. So this is the great thing about this spreadsheet. You find your zone, you plug it in, and it tells you everything you need to know as far as entries and stop prices and everything else. 2037, I'm sorry, 2030.7. And then the bottom again is 2026. So that incorporates all that sell ice. ATR is a 51. That's a lot. That's large, meaning it's rotating about 51 ticks every 5 minutes. All right, so if I'm going to go short here, so as long as this didn't violate to the upside, meaning the invalidate. So if it gets an ATR above that volume event, I will not take a short. Right. So did that get to 58? Last 2 digits I'm talking. If it did, then it's invalidated. I don't think it did. Did not. Got probably to 37-ish. So now if we got the ATR below here, that's the confirmation price. That's right here. The validation price is 09. Got there. So this is a reversion trade too. This is a trade, this part of the spreadsheet. If you want to take, these are more scalp trades. So if you took the 1 ATR, you would have been at 14, the 2, 68 on the FL on the 2, but the 1 worked. You would have been in at 14 right there, right back to the zone. You're out. That's the trade. That's different from what I'm showing in the webinars. I don't take these trades on these webinars, especially the Bookmap ones. they're too fast, and I can't keep up because I'm watching all these other markets that I'm trying to do these position trading. So these are all position trades where I'm looking for bigger moves. The ATR reversion trade is just it's a scalp type trade where you're playing back to the event. So let me hurry up. I'm gonna miss this trade as usual. I can go short at 01, and I can I'll put on 7 here. I'll round up. Hold on, Russell. So this is the bark. Blind ATR retest confirm, and we'll see if there's liquidity down there. Yes, there is. So the liquidity trade is literally, this is my target, so I'm not getting out any. I have other, remember I was showing you other areas I will get out of a trade as it moves in my favor, like I screwed up the bond trade. That if I'm trading liquidity trade, I'm holding it to the liquidity. So that's a different strategy. I will put that on. If that comes to 07, I'll put that on as well. That's working. And then what I also wanted to check is this inflection zone, an Izzy trade. It sure was, right? So this was, I should already be short this trade. Volume event in an important area. This was an important area from before. Lots of stuff happened here. It ripped right through it yesterday, came back, and now we put in 2 selling tails in this zone. So I should already be short that because the Izzy trade is an aggressive entry where I don't wait for the retest failure. So I should have been already short the first move out of this. Again, these are all specific rules I have for these trading strategies. So the Izzy trade is an aggressive entry, meaning I don't wait for the retest, confirm. The liquidity trade, the bark trade, I do wait for that. The reason I don't wait for Izzy is because there's such powerful areas that the market may not come back and retest, right? So there's certain times I will wait for a retest, but in this case, this was an aggressive entry. I should already be short, so I'll put on the Izzy short as well. That comes back there. And then I always get, my trader a lot of times will ask, well, if you should already been short at 01, whoops, sorry, what just happened there? If you should have been short at 01 already, why wouldn't you just get in here and you just save 40 ticks? Well, because I feel like if I didn't put it in and it does one of these, I feel like I kind of got away with something not putting it on. So I'll put it on if it comes back there, but I'm not just going to jump in right here. See what I'm saying? So if it comes back, I'll put it on.
Nat gas ice iceberg by NG, 159 contracts.
Oops. All right, so nat gas, the number just came out. I would be careful trading this today. This is an event, but it's rolling. So this is the January contract. It's rolling. The volume's kind of splitting here. It is powerful if you're seeing an event in this because the volume's split, right? So this is even more important. It's showing threshold 216, that's even more powerful because of the roll today. You see what I'm saying? So this is, if you're seeing events when the market's rolling months, these events are even more meaningful, is what I'm saying. We'll keep an eye on that. I don't know if I want to trade that just because, like I said, the volume split and the lugs have not rolled. So we'll look at it here if there's nothing else going on. But it would be nice to get either ES or NASDAQ. Actually, was this a retest of this zone? That's what I was waiting for. Let's see what that price was. The problem is I never put the zone in. 33 touched. ATR in years. No, I don't think that was not an official retest of this zone. So remember I was saying I would go short off of this pre-market event if it retested. It's already retested over here, but like I said, it hasn't retested since Algo Guy has flipped. Right, so we talk about coming up with a thesis as well. So if many times when markets try to pull, and this did pull it a little bit, pull the blue, and it can't hold the next wave down, when it crosses again, that leads to the major move. So we come up with, you can come up with a thesis based on this stuff and the other stuff I look at. I come up with thesis every day. I'm a day trader. I'll trade both ways. But if the thesis agrees with the volume events, then I could trade bigger size, right? That's how I do it. So just because I have a thesis on something doesn't mean I won't take a trade the other way. But if I get everything lined up, then I can fire on it, right? Hold on, I just want to see. Yeah, we got new lugs here. So this thing is just building lugs back and forth. You can see. So the thesis, I come up with a thesis with lugs too, right? So this built new lugs earlier going up. if this market is truly bullish, it should hold prior red lug, directional yellow. Well, you can see it didn't hold there. If it did, I would expect red. If it didn't hold, you expect blue. Tag blue. Built new lugs. Now here you go. Thesis. What should happen? Well, if this is truly bearish, it should hold prior blue, directional yellow. You expect the next blue. This is just coming up with a thesis with this stuff. If it can't, you expect red. Look at that. Almost got to red there. It'll probably come up here. So you can come up with a thesis with this stuff and then market profile. But this is pretty choppy, right? It's like it's building them both ways, building new lugs both ways. Can't hold it one way. Can't hold the yellow, directional yellow, prior blue the other way. Well, and this is just signifying it in this market profile stuff too, right? So these are composites. These are value areas of days merged together, these blue boxes. You can see this thing can't make up its mind what it wants to do. So it opened up in here. I think it opened up in here. Let's see. Yeah, so it opened up in here, failed out of it. Got in here, failed back out of it. Now it's in between. So this is just bouncing around, and that's why you're getting that kind of look too with these lugs. So the next move, and there has not been a volume event in the regular trading, since the market opened. So the next move into either one of these is my thesis is going to be dictated by that, right? So if it gets in here, when markets accept into market profile composites, you expect the other side. So if this can get back in here and I get a bullish event, I could take a pick trade. That was the profiles encouraged.
Iceberg 199 contracts.
That was this strategy, right there. That's trading, again, important areas. That's an important area that I'll look at. If this comes back and fails and gets in here, then I get a volume event, then I can trade the pick trade and expect the other side here. Now I could put on that strategy. It's also giving me a thesis of what's going on. So I have no idea, what to expect here, and I'm just going to wait to see if it can get in there. I'll expect that. If it get in there, just thesis, right? It doesn't mean I won't take. If this gets in here, it doesn't mean I'll skip longs. But if this gets in here and I get a bearish setup, I'm going to trade bigger size because of the thesis is agreeing, right? And then that would be like below yellow lug, and that thesis would line up, so on and so forth, right? So you can come up with a thesis with those. You can come up with a thesis with algo guy. You can come up with a thesis with these inflection zones, how they're responding to the inflection zone. And you can see this is just sitting between these major. This is from a long time ago, and it did hold yesterday, and that's what led to this move. And then it bounced right off. It stopped there and gapped up from there today. So these are all still relevant. This one, and then it moved out of here, came into this one, and bounced off of this one. So I don't really have a thesis here, structure-wise, right? It does look bearish, obviously, after yesterday. This was a failed breakout of this multi-day balance. That's a failed breakout. You built more balance yesterday, and then went right through the high volume node of that, and then it ripped right through. Well, you can make this more like that. So that was the high volume node, that zone, and it held for now. If this comes back and gets through this area, then I would fully expect my thesis based on this stuff would be much lower, right? And we'll probably head back down to this stuff. So you come up with a thesis with structure, right? So I've given you 3 or 4 things you can come up with a thesis on. Then you can move over to the option stuff and then listen to his thesis. So, or what he sees where the options are building up the most, because the markets gravitate towards these huge options positions. And that's this stuff that you see on, that's these levels here, right? These cloud node levels. So he comes up with a thesis based on where he's seeing the heavy flow. So here's some major levels as support here. Here's one here. And then you can read, and then he always says, he gives his opinion, and it's not looking at anything but the options. So you see what you can do here. If everything's, say I just looked at 3 things like the lugs and the algo guy and my structure stuff, say that was all bullish, right? And then I come over here and we'll read this, and he basically is bullish. He basically says when you get moves like yesterday, what was driving it, you usually get a snapback, right? So then that would be bullish. Then if I get a volume event that's happened in real time, bullish, it's fire away. See what I'm saying? So that's how I do it. So he does say here, this is when he was talking about it getting killed, mini flash crash, Goldman's watching this way. It's clearly not enough causes such a swift reversal entry. So people really don't know what caused that. They're saying options, but I've seen 5 different reasons, and then nothing's really clear to me why that happened. It doesn't matter why it happened, right? So it's you adjust to it and move on. Most of the volume started printing after 2:30 p.m. That's Eastern. even a prior break of 4,800. The pickup in volume was real. Average rate run was 5 times greater. So he's talking like a relative volume type of thing that we look at all the time too. I can show you that from yesterday. Relative volume was ridiculous. How does this impact things moving forward? So this is his thesis, right? Anytime we see flows that are 0 date to expiration driven, we favor fading those moves. So he's said, based on what he saw yesterday, he thought it was the 0 date to expiration. Further, the flow shut off right as the S&P hit our critical risk off support line of 4,700. That's right there. So 4,700 is 4,750-ish, 52 in the futures. So it bounced right off there yesterday. So that is showing bullish according to him, right? As far as how it reacted there. Additionally, yesterday served the pump and imply volatility shown by VIX, which jumped to 13.4. However, when you look under the hood, the volatility change this past week represents a shift just off of a not a care in the world. This week's implied volatility are a bit more responsive, but that makes yesterday's given surprise 1.1 equity negging. We can't help but give the edge to the elevated vol getting sold into the upcoming holiday weekend into New Year's. So if they're selling vol, that just means that the market usually goes up and it's a slow grind type of thing. This should create some recovery for equities today and tomorrow. Wouldn't be surprised if we retag yesterday's highs, right? So do you see, like, this is just one thing, but so is the lugwood levels, so is the algo guys, so is the structure. Do you see what I'm saying? So when you can get confluence, meaning a couple things are lining up, like if it, all of a sudden we start breaking new highs, or lugs start building upwards, or algo guy flips. Now you have this information too. Now you wait for your real-time volume events, and then you can go for the throw to the long side. So that's how you should be trading. You can't come up with a thesis, and if you don't get your qualifying volume events in that direction, you just skip the trades. That would be fine too. That takes a lot of patience just to sit through, especially if you're a day trader. But that's probably even a better way to trade, right? You got to be very patient. But all right, let's. So I am still not filled in Mr. Russell. So if that comes down to 01, I'm taking those shorts, Bark, Lick, and Izzy. I'm still not filled in my long crude yet. I was going to take Bark. I was going to take, this is not a good Lick trade. I already said that because I'm entering at 86 and Lick's right there, but I'm taking the Bark trade if that comes up here. Did not fill me at last time. I don't think we would have heard it. And my bond trade's coming all the way back on me because I made a mistake and didn't have at least one down where it bounced off earlier. And hopefully this will not come back and stop me out because I tried to double size on that. So that would not be good. I don't mind losing or giving back profit as long as I didn't make a mistake. When I make a mistake, that's when it really bothers me, right? So I will be complaining heartily if that comes back and stops me out. Just like I made the mistake earlier in gold, right? I was short. I had 40, 50 ticks in it, and I just didn't see that bounce off the yellow lug with a volume event, by the way. I should have been out of some down here, and I made a mistake, and then I got stopped out. And then that sets me off, and then I start talking to myself, and I could catch myself pretty good nowadays, but they call it going on tilt, right? When you go on tilt, that's when you just lose your mind, right? And back in the day, I lost my mind many, many times. I've matured a little bit since then, but I'm still quite a crybaby. You can ask my trade room, but that's just human nature, and that's how I get it out of my system, right? It's like I complain a lot and bitch and so on and so forth, but that's how I get it out. You want to. You can read any current trading psychology book, and they say the same thing. You want to get. You don't want to bottle. You want to accept your feeling, right? So if you're pissed off, accept you're pissed off. Recognize you're pissed off. You don't get pissed off and pretend you're not pissed off. That's when builds up, and then all of a sudden, a year from now, you lose your mind and they put you in a rubber room, right? So the way I get it out is I talk it out and I complain. Even when I'm not on my webinars, I'm talking out loud. It's pretty embarrassing, but that's just how I get it out. There was a story back in the day when at my trading firm, when I was a big trader, I was a top trader in there, and I had my own office. That was like because most guys were coupled up with other dudes. I had my own office. So people would walk by my office and they'd hear me having a conversation, and they'd go into the owner's office and say, "Who is Pulcini talking to in there?" And he's like, "Oh, he's talking to his imaginary friend," right? So I did it all the way back to then. Like that's how I get it out of my system. So if you guys get annoyed with my complaining, I apologize, but that's the only way my head doesn't pop off. All right, you guys got questions? I really haven't done anything. Obviously, these markets are just sitting here. Throw them in YouTube, please. I'm not going to bounce back and forth between Discord and YouTube, so just please throw them in YouTube. So I guess we'll take a look at this natural gas setup since nothing is going on. Again, I'm a little hesitant to trade this because of the roll, right? So you can see here. It's 2-to-1, close to 2-to-1 volume in Feb now, but there's still 28,000 here. So it's like, and then you want to make sure the lugs are in the right month, so on and so forth. So I don't like questioning things like this, right? It's like, well, should I put on the trade? Oh, the volume's still some in here. That's why I'm hesitant to put on a trade there, because trading's hard enough without questioning stuff. Just trying to see where we're at here. This zone actually can be deleted. It's just bounced back and forth here. So these are my important inflection zones, the IZZY trades, or IZZY areas. I mean, they're IZZY short for the inflection zone. But when you trade, these are where important things happen. These are just the 4 important areas of charting, right? You can do these yourself if you know how to do them. But what you're looking for are, tops and bottoms of balance areas. These are the 4 areas, right? Tops and bottoms. I deleted this because I traded back through it, but you can see this zone is pretty confluent where that was before. Here's the top of it. You can draw high volume nodes if you want. I don't draw the actual high volume nodes because then I have too many areas in my charts, but you can just eyeball it. It's just an area, the highest traded area volume-wise in a balance area. It's basically the middle of the area. It's just an area. It's not an exact price, right? It's not like the point of control. And it's the same as point of control as in market profile, the same, thought process, but it's not an exact price. It's just the area. And then buying and selling tails. So you can see there's a tail here, there's a tail here, there's a tail here. It's not the only reason I drew it, but if I find a bunch of stuff in the area, then I just make sure I incorporate all of it, and it's even more powerful. So you can see here, and then the last one is directional conviction. So this is like directional conviction. Gaps are directional conviction. This is the regular trading hours chart. You can't see the move overnight, but you can see the gap. That's definitely directional conviction. So this zone is very important, and you can see the market came back here. That's exactly where it stopped, right? So these are why I have these areas. So this is just one important area that I look at on top of the logs, on top of algo guide, things like that. So if I get events in these zones, I will take those trades. Those are called IZZY trades, and that's what I took in bonds earlier. This was an IZZY trade. So you saw that sell ice, aka a volume event, in an important zone. So I took it. I think it was. See, this is why, and then I get questions. What's the significance of white versus red or whatever color this is? I just do it to separate the zones. And so this one I didn't, and I was like, okay, where does this one start? Where does this end? That's why I do it. So this is actually the IZZY zone with the sell ice. I took that trade, right? An important area with a real-time volume event. That's the IZZY trade. That's the trade I have on right now. And what did I just get filled? All right, I'm filled on crude. I'm long crude. Bark. Was this an IZZY too? I can't remember. Yeah, I remember I said this was kind of a variation of the IZZY where it moved out of here today, came back, volume event. So I'm long crude, IZZY, and Bark. Bark is just blind ATR retest confirm. The only thing I possibly made a mistake on in this one is you got to stay on top of your ATR because that changes. That changes your entry price. When I change this, these are going to change, right? So let's see. Yeah, see, it's down to 23.7. So instead of entering at 86, when I changed that ATR, I should have been at 83. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal, but 3 ticks and you do it 100 times, it adds up. And then it also, changes my stop price too. So I'll be out at 73.18 if I'm wrong here, right? Just trading probabilities, and you just keep putting them on if you have an edge. That is the biggest part of trading. You have to make sure you have an edge. I know I have an edge, so I just keep putting the damn trade on over and over and over and let the edge play out. Every week we talk about comparing it to a casino, right? If you have an edge, aka a casino has an edge, right? All the games are mathematically in their favor. Mathematically in your favor would be an edge in the markets. If you have something like the SI indicator, that's an edge. Then it's just about applying the edge consistently, right? So that's all this stuff is. and this is part of my trade. This is directly out of Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Highly recommend you read it. It really helps you if you can start to think. I make a joke in my trade room that they have to have this tattoo to their forehead, a real tattoo on their forehead to come in my trading room. But if you can internalize this, you're on your way. So if you can understand this stuff, the 5 truths, anything can happen. You don't need to know what happened next, all this stuff. If you can internalize this and you have an edge, you're there, right? And now it's just taking the trade. So for instance, today is a good example. I took a loss in gold, I took a loss in crude, and I'm still not stopped out of. Then gold looked like it was going to stop me out too. It held this prior event. Remember I said I didn't stop out in that, I put it below it. But the point is, you take a couple losers, you don't just stop trading because you're afraid. If you have an edge, you just keep putting it on. Just like a casino, a guy walks in and waxes them for $1 million. Do they shut down blackjack throughout the whole casino because they lost to one guy? No, they know their edge is there. Keep dealing those damn cards. I know they know after a year, however many months, a year, at the end of the year, they're going to be profitable. Same with this. You can take 5, 6, 7 losses in a row. If you know you have an edge, you just keep putting on the trade. Most traders, most people cannot do that. It's against human nature, right? You keep losing and then you lose your faith in it. You're like, oh, this doesn't work. Again, that's the biggest thing. If traders most traders don't really know if they have an edge. They see something work a few times and they incorporate it in their trading, and then it stops working, and then they abandon it and on to the next thing. Well, there is no question in my mind. I've been trading 25 years, close to 25 years. This is the most powerful information I have ever seen. You guys hear me say it every single week. So I don't have to worry if I have the edge. I have the edge. Now I just have to worry about monitoring myself, make sure I don't make stupid mistakes, kind of like I did today, things like that. Or recency bias, where I lose 2-3 trades like I did today, and I'm like, this one, I don't want to lose any more money today. Yeah, you want to stop yourself at a certain amount each day, but I don't stop taking trades just because a couple of them lost, right? Just like the casino doesn't stop dealing the cards because one guy beat them. If you can do that, then you're there. Then you just got to be consistent, and you will be a profitable trader. If you can't do that, then you're not going to be a profitable trader. It's that simple. All right, that's my little rant for right now. See if you guys got any questions. Anonymous trader going off in here. Let's see. Do you have some further stories of trader at Gilbert? It's Gelber, not Gilbert. Gelber. You can Google it. You can see all about him. Many traders were bitching about him in the day. Huge market manipulator. Actually, it was even fined recently, like the last 5 years, for spoofing and stuff. But you can read all about that. Don't even get me started on those stories. That's basically the guy. It was a low volatility at the time, and then I was fighting this dude every day. He had probably double size. I could put on 3,000 mini S&Ps at the time. He could put on like 6 or 7. And back then you could see counterparty, so you can see exactly who you're trading with. So he could see I got loaded up like 2,000-3,000. Then he would just run it in my face. It was a big poker game every day. Please don't get me started on that. I'm in a halfway decent mood right now. Where he would be the one at certain time windows actually buying each offer and thus facilitating trading price higher, vice versa. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the games he used to play. It was completely illegal from what I was seeing. And again, you can see counterparty. He would just be dropping in orders back and forth, crossing orders, just a bunch of crazy stuff. You can read all about it. Just put Gelber, big Russian trader. You can read all about his exploits. But yeah, he used to manipulate the market. And he would usually wait till about, and this even stands true for today, right? Like if you trade after 10 o'clock Central, about 10:15, 10:30, you're asking for trouble, right? Like it's just, you are, there's certain days that there's big money playing in there at the time, but most of the time, that's when the big money in like New York, they start going to lunch, and then the algos just start having a field day. Well, back then, he was the algo. He'd wait till that time of day, and then he would just start flipping the order book like there was no tomorrow and playing his games, and it just drove me absolutely crazy and helped knock me out of the game at the time. So, but yeah, that absolutely happened. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's in one of these multiple markets now. He already got fined and banned for a year or something a few years ago, so he's probably not doing the same stuff. But somebody else is. There's always spoofing in here, and you can see it. You can see it in liquidity pulling. And what's so funny about crude, and we show this all the time in my trade room, like all this liquidity is one house. And how do you know that? Because it'll turn off and this is black, and then they'll turn it back on and it's all back in. That's just showing me it's one entity. I bitch about it now, but that used to be me playing games with the markets. Now someone else's. But all this liquidity, it just shows you how very few major entities are in this market full time, like all the time, right? Yeah, the big money will come in and do their business and be done for the week or whatever. But like this, I guarantee you, all this liquidity, these bands, see how it's like put in and out, in and out. This is one house messing with the markets because they know nothing's going on. See, nothing's going on, then they start algoing you. That's why I have specific rules to get my stops. Like for instance, I just got long. I just got algoed. Here's back forth. Do you see me panicking out of this trade? No, I actually got to put my stop in. I haven't put my stop in yet, but I will force this market to get the ATR below this event for me to stop out. I'm not going to let them algo me. And this is literally one house screwing around with these orders because they know nothing's going on. And here we are, we're approaching that time, 10 o'clock Central. I'm on Mountain Standard Time, but then they really start messing with you. So, not that I can't be wrong on this trade, but if I'm going to be wrong, they're going to have to push an ATR out of here and not just screw around right here. See what I'm saying? So let me get this. So 18 is my stop. Or at least bonds are coming back. I'm not going to make that mistake of not getting out of there again. Hold on here. Technical difficulties as usual. Alright, so that's working. I forgot my other market. That's working. Hold on, guys. I'm just trying to get these orders in here so I don't. That's my MO for getting the stuff's working and then looking at it and I'm a huge loser. Hold on. See how. Okay, those are working. All right, stops are in. Now we get to watch the Algo Fest. Let's see, there's other questions in here. I still have this short working in Russell. What I do have to do is make sure this ATR is correct. Remember, I was going to short this ATR retest failure off this sell ice here. That's how slow these markets have become. There's nothing going on, and it's just been sitting here. I mean, I put this in like a half hour ago. ATR in here now is 4.9. So that's not going to be that big of a difference. It just means 49 ticks it's rotating. So that's still not bad. As far as volatility. So I go short at 04. Where did I have that originally? I had it at 07. I don't know how that increased, but it's 04 now. Then I'm going to short the, that's the Izzy. Did I say Bark and Lick on this too? Let's see. Yeah, I could put on Bark and Lick too, because the algo guy is still bearish. And what's even more, this thing's tried now 1, 2, 3 different times to pull that blue across, and it can't hold it. Now I would, again, just a thesis with the algo guy, I would think waves of selling are going to come in where those algos jump back in on that short. So I can't remember if I put in Bark and Lick in here or not. Hold on. Yeah, I got Bark and Lick working as well. All right, so I got Bark and Lick. That was not was that an Izzy? I can't remember now. Yeah, that was an Izzy too. So I got Bark, Lick, and Izzy. I know I already went over this, guys, but I mean, I talk so much, I just forget the hell I'm doing here. Izzy, Bark, and Lick. All right, those are working. That comes back. I will go short. Still has not been a single event in NASDAQ, NQ, or ES. Let's do a retest, it looks like. No. Pretty damn close. I didn't take it, so it's fine. There'll be, this starts moving lower, then there's going to be plenty of events. Algo guys still bearish. This is another example. This thing's tried multiple times to pull across too. It did pull, tried again, it didn't pull, tried again. Now I expect that just from algo guy. That's just my thesis there. And then we've already talked about these other theses. Is that a word? This didn't really stop anywhere, but again, this many times too. You can actually have a trading strategy off of this. When you see a really high volume sell bar or buy bar, so many times the market will recover about 50% of it, and then the next wave down. So that's happening here too. That's basically 50% of that move, right, halfway back. So that's showing me potentially bearish thesis. And then we talked about the lugs. So I'm just coming up with, I could have been short off of that event. I just didn't do it. But if this starts moving lower and I get new events and they're going to be bearish events, I'm trading bigger based on what I'm saying. And here we go. We already went over this a little bit ago. This is trying to get back inside here. This gets back inside here. That's bearish. If I get an event, I'm trading bigger. I just showed 3 different things that are showing bearish. And then you'll also be below prior blue, directional yellow. You expect blue. That's bearish. So now I just wait. I could have gone short off of that other event. It was pre-market. I'm just going to wait for something new. If these markets start to die, at least I'll be short Russell. And then as far as ES, nothing's happening here either. You can see it bumps right off this is why I use these ISI zones. There was no volume event here, so I did not take it. But if there was, I would have been short that too. But there you go. What's that? It's about 50% of that bar. Comes back. Bye. Let's go down to 0. Let's have the Grinch that stole Christmas on the Santa Claus rally. That's getting... I just love it because all these guys everyone's short vol, thinking nothing's going to happen, and some guys ate their lunch yesterday, so that was kind of cool. All right, let's see what your other questions are. Luca, how do you set up your sweeps on your Bookmap black and white balls? On your Bookmap, some kind of algorithm. It's just a sweeps indicator. You need Global Plus. So some of you guys are using the Thinkorswim version. That's a very basic, watered-down version. I don't think you get Global Plus. Just go get Global Plus. I put it in that document too, I think. I give you a comparison, I think. Let's see. I did this a while ago. Here you can get, so all this stuff you can get discounts when using. This is for the Global Plus. You get there. Actually, I don't have the comparison, but you can go just Google Global versus Global Plus, and you can get the sweeps indicator only with Global Plus. So that's just this, right? So I set mine to 150. I just set it whatever my stop threshold is. I don't trade off the sweep areas. If you want to trade off the sweep areas, I would go 4 times threshold. So you're talking 600. I don't know why it would be that much more, but it is. But I don't trade off sweeps anyway. But I want to use the sweeps. You're going to see them all over the place because they're a lot more frequent. 150 versus 600, obviously. But I use them to help me draw my zones, especially the stop runs. So that's what the black and white balls are. What was the reason behind it? And beforehand, would he just see how much offers he has to buy it? Anonymous, you'd have to contact him. I don't know. He was just flipping orders. I mean, he had an end game in mind, but I'm not the guy to be asking. I watched him. Again, I'm not going to get into what he was doing, what he wasn't doing. I had enough of it when I was watching it live and costing me millions of dollars. So it's Google his name, contact him. You can become good buddies with him. Let him know that he's got a bounty on his head. And as far as I'm concerned, for me, if I ever see that dude, he's getting punched in the face. So just to let him know. Which I'm getting. Okay, you're still asking about him, Luca. Does anyone here have such a knowledge instruction how to copy it to Bookmap? Copy what, Luca? It's just that's one of the indicators, right? So it's an add-on sweeps indicator. Guys, this is all basic stuff for Bookmap, right? Just go to Bookmap. And you can see it's all right here. So if you go to features or, I'm not an expert at the website, but there's nothing going on. That's why I'm doing this, because there's just nothing going on. There you go. Here's your difference. Global versus Global Plus. It's well worth the extra $40 in my opinion. And if you go to use that link I put in there or go to my website, you get a discount on it as well. But it gives you, so here, let's see. I thought they had the sweeps indicator on here. I used to have that on the comparison, but you get all this extra stuff. One click, Dome, Execution Pro. I know this used to say sweeps. I don't know why it doesn't say sweeps anymore. But anyway, that's part of. It's an add-on, but it's just part of the Global Plus. And then if you want the SI indicator, you got to go to the Bookmap Marketplace. this is all in those links I sent you, right? And then here's the add-ons. So you definitely, here's my course, by the way, through Bookmap, or you can get it through my site too. You want the MBO bundle, right? Because this is what it gives you: the sub chart, the on chart, liquidity tracker, Trader Map Pro. I want to get back into looking at that too, because there were some bugs in it a while ago, and I kind of, it's not on my thing right now, but this is just showing you liquidity in a different way. It's awesome. And then you get all this, right? And then so you need that. Then you need the data feed that provides that enhanced data. There's only one provider that I know of. There might be another one, but that's Rhythmic, right? That's why you need a Rhythmic feed, or you're not going to be able to see the SI indicator. All this is stuff. If you want to read about what I'm looking at, you just put CME MBO data, and it's on a CME website. What it is, market by order. So it's their new data feed. It's not new anymore. It's been around for 7 years, but Rhythmic is the only one that is interpreting this data. All these other ones like CQG, they're still using this market by price, which is not showing you. You're only seeing the top 10 price levels up and down. Everything else you see, if you're on
Top 5 GC, 183 contracts.
that's gotta get trail my stop on gold. I'll be there in a second. But if you're using MBP and any other data provider besides Rhythmic, you're not seeing real order book stuff. Like you'll see these orders in there, but they're not real. They're only showing, all you can see is the first 10 levels up, 10 levels down. That's just one of the things that you can see. And then you can also see the icebergs and the stop runs and everything else. But anyway, Rhythmic is the only one that gives you that information. So you go here and you can, if you're only trading ES and NQ, then you just want the CME. But if you want to be able to look at gold and crude, so gold is COMEX, these are just all the exchanges under the umbrella. If you get a single one, it's going to cost you $40. If you add it, you can see you add them all. If you add them all, it's going to cost you, I don't know why this isn't working, but whatever. Oh, because I'm hitting bundle. So if I just were to add these separately, it cost me $156. If I pick the bundle, I get all of these. It's $99. It's the same thing, but you guys as a bundle. Then you pick whether you're pro or non-pro. If you're pro, it's $225. If you're non-pro, it's $99. That's what you need to get started. So, all right. So I am long gold, been long gold, did not get stopped out because I don't let them algo me out. I make them push it through these areas and outside, an ATR outside, and that did not happen. I was long off of this event, and I put my stop, it was here, but I moved it outside this event, and that's why I move it outside the event, because these hold these events. So I never got stopped out, I never got algoed. Look at the algos in here. This is why I put my stops where I do, so I don't get algoed. That would have cost me at this point 60 ticks. And I would have been out of the trade and I'd be bitching right now. So we have a new event. So this is how I trail my stops, based on a new event. Stop run, threshold, it's 183. My threshold in gold, meaning a meaningful event that I can trade, is 150. This is 183. So these sweeps causes a stop run. Sweeps get first right to the order book. Somebody swept the order books. Here's the white balls, right? If somebody swept it, caused the stops to trigger. Well, the stops could have been anywhere in these sweeps. I know they weren't. This one's probably correct, but if the price already traded, well, the stops probably weren't there. I mean, yeah, someone can drop in stop runs on the fly, but that means this had to have been the price where the stops were, at minimum, right? So then that's why this is in beta mode. You want to adjust this. There we go. So that's how I would draw that. Might be able to come down one tick here. No, I want it there because this price already traded, so the stops were not there. They were at a price that hadn't traded already, recently anyway. All right, so 52 down to 43 is your zone, 2055.2, 43. So come over here, plug that in. All right, 54.3, yep. Plug in your current ATR, which is 20.09. Now, based on this new event, my stop for the long we're already in, and I can add to this long too if the criteria show. We'll go over that. My stop's now at 19. Now the issue here is I'm probably going to be stopping this out in a prior event, but if it comes back again, then I'll just say you win, right? What I will do is I'll move it outside, at least outside of this event. This is what I got long off event the first time. So I'm supposed to be stopped out What did I just say? I lost the spreadsheet here. Hold on. So my stop's supposed to be at 19. Well, you can see 19 is smack dab in the middle of the zone. So I'm going to move it out a few ticks. I'm not going to go all the way back down below that first one that I didn't get stopped out on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to move. I'll move it. It should be here. I'm going to move it down here. So I'm going to risk 10 more ticks. I'll put it at 09 instead. Then what I can do here is potentially add to this trade. So that is an 09. So let's see what Algo Guy looks like. See if I can put an add to this bark and lick trade. Algo Guy is still bullish. And what happened here, as far as we've been talking about thesis, this thing's tried to pull. Blue cannot pull below the red. Usually when you get the next move above, then you got the next wave. So that's looking bullish too. I don't necessarily know if I want to trade double size, but you know, just on an Algo Guy thesis, especially with this important zone above. If we get through this important zone, then yeah, because that would be, you see how this zone is, you had selling tail, selling tail, selling tail, directional confection, selling tail, selling tail, selling tail, selling tail, right? And it just turns out to be the top of this balance. If it breaks out of here, then yeah, I would trade double size to the long sides. But I will put another trade on off of this event, but I'm just not thesis wise, I'm not trading bigger is what I'm saying. So now, as long as this doesn't violate to the downside, and that's all in the spreadsheet. So as long as this price isn't tagged, this is the long invalidation price of 22, and this is pretty close already, but say this holds and moves higher, I can put on another bark trade off of this amount. So I'd have 2 on. I wouldn't put the lick trade on because the liquidity is pretty well. Yeah, you can put the lick on here, I think. Actually, I do have the lick on, don't I? Hold on. I can't remember, guys. Doesn't matter. We'll see what happens here. If this does this, then I'll put them on. We'll look at that. Other than that, my stop's at 09, and I'll be out of this long if it comes back. Crude's moving in my favor, and you can. This is why I have tick strikes. So you can. We haven't talked about market pulse today. You can see they're buying. This is tick strike. I've had that for about 15 years. This, if anything, it just lets you know when other markets are firing off because you can't stare at. I'm looking at 20 different futures markets, so I hear that noise and I know something they're buying crude, right? And I'm already long crude. We've already talked about that. And then market pulse. So you can see here, this is important. So I have my market pulse set. We'll talk about it first, and I'll show you because there's nothing going on, so we can talk about settings and stuff, right? So you can see this is showing me, if you see the yellow tip, this is showing me it's the most selling or most buying in the last hour for the full hour. So that's important, right? It's fleeting, and you can see it's in the sweeps here too. But you can see as this came up, most buying in the last hour, most buying in the last hour. This stuff all held, right? Yeah, part of this was stop runs, but this is not a stop run. Most buying. So how could you use this? Well, I'm long right now already, right? Well, if I'm long and I see the most buying in the last hour, some of this is stops, but the 40 stop runs did not cause the most buying in the last hour. So my point is, and you see it in the sweeps. Well, we have specific rules. I actually have market pulse rules that if you're long, like I'm long here, and I see them buying this market aggressively, if this area doesn't hold, do I really want to hold my entire long? No, I'll get out. I won't get out of them all because this can come down and the buying can come back in or whatever. But if this area fades, I'm going to get out of some of my trade just because of what's happening real time. I'm seeing these buyers engage. And then on the flip side, I could potentially add to this trade based on the market pulse and just risk very little on my add, right? So we have distinct rules, these market pulse areas, and I show it all the time. Here, I'll just show this real quick, guys, because this is part of my trade room, but this will be a good there's nothing going on, so I'm okay doing this. So this is all part of my trade room, right? Go over here. Where's it at? Market pulse. Oh, that's the the examples. I almost choked there. Sorry. You don't want me to die in the webinar, I don't think. I keep forgetting when I put this on. Oh, right here. Strategy of short takes. Right? A couple market pulse examples from today. This is back in June. So watch. Just quick. It's pretty quick, so we'll play it. And it's in crude too, so it's a perfect segue. Watch. If it plays, something stupid will happen here. But
here's an example from crude market pulse. Apple
fade example where you can see, actually let's scrunch this in a little more. You have two different heavy buying areas here. You have it there, and you have it there. So this one actually held, right? But that's not where you judge these initially, right? So it moved higher, and then more buying even came in here. Right? So the way I've been seeing to trade this is to, when it comes back and retests this area, well, first of all, this one failed immediately, but you want to see if this one holds, right? And if it can hold and then get back above here, you can buy that off of this one and put your stop below there. And then on this one, you would wait for the same type of move. Well, neither one of these held. This one tried, and then more buyers came in immediately off sides. So before I continue on the pattern here, this is what I'm talking about right now, right? You're seeing, just like this, you're seeing big buying now. If this big buying doesn't hold, this is not current, but I'm just showing you it's the same thing. In this case, this was a fade market pulse where the big buyers came in and the area didn't hold. And look what happened, right? So that's what I'm potentially going to do with this one right now. I'll play the rest of that here in a second, but right? If this doesn't hold, I don't want a full position on because the buyers aren't winning. Why do I want to hold my long, right? So play this real quick. See, here's the retest right there. So the minute this gets back below that last low, that's a good place to short the trade with the stop right above there, right? So we talk about these are aggressive buyers. How are you feeling if you're aggressive there? You think you got it? Step on the gas a little more. You think you got it? Moves against you immediately, comes back, and you're like, oh no, you get out, right? So that is a example of a fade trade. Then you can see this is more of a continuation here. So you have this selling, heavy selling there. There's your move away. Here's your retest. It holds on this in this instance, right? Then you see more selling. That held. Then you actually see some buying come in, and they never get it anywhere near. Moves against, comes back, fails again.
The Fed bids for 4-week bills total $377.8 billion.
Sorry. So these are continuation areas where the sellers are aggressive, retest holds. Sellers aggressive, retest holds. And then you can have some buyers that get aggressive, then never even can get above there. So these are instances where even if you didn't short here, you can short here, and then put your stop above where this first selling came in, there. Right? And then write it down to whatever, if you have a... Right, so that's the basics of that. But it's important information. It's fleeting many times, right? Because it's just, these are not my main, and here's more, right? These are not my main trading areas. Yes, this is a great scalp. If you're going to scalp, I would highly recommend you scalp off this stuff, right? You're not going to make money scalping off of this dome consistently. Good luck. Again, it's where I made millions and millions of dollars. If I'm not doing it, there's probably a reason, because I would love to make millions and millions of dollars again, just staring at the order book, right? It's not possible, in my opinion. And I was one of the best of the world doing it. So my point is, if you're going to scalp, then this is your best chance, right? So here, this is real time. Now, what is going on here? Well, we saw the buyers get aggressive right here. Most buying in the last hour. Right? Let me turn this down before something fires off and scares the crap out of me. And then you had more buyers. So you can see this one kind of rejected. It hasn't made a new low yet. And then they came in again. And that one rejected. So you don't just go shorter. I'm not just going to peel out of some of these the first time. But if it comes back, see how it retested that exact area. Now, if this makes a new low, I can get out of some of these. I'll go below this last low for this first one. I'm going to get out at 84 because I've just watched two instances of the real-time buying of very aggressive. They're not winning. So why do I want to hold the full position? I don't. So I'm going to get out of some of these and come back. I got 8 on. I'll get out of 3. Hit 85. Hold on. All right, so I just got out of that. And then you could, I'm not going short off of these, but I'm just saying I'm not holding full positions if I see, hold on, I know I got 2 positions on, I can't find the damn, hold on here, what am I doing? MCO, yeah, so I got another, that's another 86, that was the, whoops. So I'm getting out of some there. There you go. So does it mean it can't turn around? The buyers can't come in again? No. But I just saw 2 instances, real-time information. They were aggressive. No go. Aggressive. Here's your retest. Next low. I'm out of some. I don't need to see this come all the way back to my stop point to know that buyers just didn't. It ain't happening right now, right? So there you go. That's how you can use Market Pulse. Huge information. It's not just, it's very fleeting sometimes, but I just know, and especially once this liquidity got filled, they're like, okay, I got my fill. Now we can move this thing lower type of attitude, right? But point is, this is important. If it comes back and it rips higher, fine. And buyers come in again, great. I still have some on. I didn't get out of my full position, but I'm protecting myself with what I'm seeing real time. So hopefully that makes sense. Glad we got that example in. All right, let's see if you guys got any other questions in here. The spot game gamma daily levels work accurately. Absolutely, I use them. Those are one of the areas that I will use. Their support and resistance and or target areas, right? So you could have a trading strategy just on this stuff alone. Of course, I would want to see my main driver, the SI indicator, but say this came down here, right? It's probably going to, and you see a volume event. That could be remember we talked about volume events at important areas. This is an important area. You see a volume event, that's the edge. It holds, it's bullish, you go long. If it comes down here, you get a volume event and it's bearish, you can go short. That's an important area that didn't hold. See what I'm saying? So yeah, these things are very, very important. Why? Because these are the heaviest areas of options activity. So these dealers have to hedge themselves at these areas. So you're going to get futures activity at these areas.
Time now at the bottom of the hour. The US is due to
But yeah,
sell $80 billion.
absolutely.
The prior high yield was 5.27% with the private cover for 2
Right, there has literally not been one setup in ES or NQ, and I've still not filled on my Russell short. This has just been sitting in the zone for an hour and a half. I figured today we might actually get some trade after the flash crash yesterday. Nope, right back to crapola. This is interesting too. This is making another leg down. This is the hero. Right? This has gone from plus 400 million to minus 800 million. So that's a 1.2 billion move. That's, and we already talked about the ES has responded to this, and we're probably going to get another leg down here. Where you can use this stuff, this is just one strategy, right? This is another thing you can look for. Where say we do come down to these levels, say you do get a volume event, say it is bullish, and you see this thing turning up, well, that could be more of a reason to trade bigger size, right? So we're, again, a thesis based on this stuff. So this is very important information. It is not the main driver. Oh, some days it is. Some days this is just one entity. Options dealers hedging with futures are one entity. Someday everything they do affects the market. There's other days they're doing their business, giving them the business, as the NFL referee said that one time. They're doing their business, but there's bigger players in here, and their activity is not really affecting the market because there's someone in here bigger absorbing, so on and so forth. So, there's so many misconceptions with this thing that people think it's a red light, green light. It's not. Some days it is. Some days it's, like right now, this thing's kind of cratering and market's just sitting here. What does that mean? That means it could be a bigger entity right now absorbing it, right? So the point is, I don't just trade this just like I don't trade anything else blindly. I wait for volume events. So if I come down here, I've shown this many times, right? When we did the webinar, you can see the webinar on my website. It wasn't a public webinar. It was for spot gammas, but you can see it on my website. Go to my website. You can watch it right here. It's down here at the bottom. This one right here, right? So he talks about what we're talking about here. That. I had another one up here, but this is the most recent that I did with him. This is for his, I forgot what day this was. And you get to see my smiling face here too. But that was very recent. That was only a couple weeks ago. So go to my website, you can watch it. We talk about all the stuff that I'm covering now. All right. No other questions. I usually go till 10:30 Central, but I mean, there is just nothing. Oh, by the way, this is what we just talked about in crude, right? The buyers failed. I got out of some. I'm still long. You know, I'll stop out of my normal area, but I didn't hold the whole thing. If this thing craters, this was telling me something was up when these buyers got aggressive and they're offsides, right? Other than that, gold. Actually, whatever happened with bonds? I cannot believe I missed that exit down there. That was so upsetting. I wouldn't have got out of all of them. I would have got out of one of them. And of course, here we go, right back to the volume event. That's upsetting. I mean, 15 ticks, 16 ticks in bonds is huge. It's 31.25 a tick, right? So that's like a 50 tick move in a normal product. Normal like ES and gold and crude and things like that. Speaking of gold, I'm still long. Remember, I was long off of this event here, and my stop was down here. Did not get stopped out. New event. I trailed my stop from there up to there. Now I could take those longs off of this event, but everything's just sitting here. It's pretty unbelievable after what happened yesterday. That's just the way it is. All right, you got questions? Throw them in. Last chance. I'm just not going to sit here and watch paint dry talking to myself. Turn off tick straight 2 on here. I'll just check Discord because a lot of times you guys still throw the questions in there, even though I say go to Bookmap or YouTube. Let's see, of course. What's the indicator at the bottom of Scott's chart? Anyone know? At the bottom of his Bookmap. Nikki, that's the SI indicator, the core of my trading. The driver of every single thing that I do for the last 7 years. Not that long. I've been using using it for about 5 years. This is Stop, yeah. So Trader says this is Stop Icebergs indicator, part of the MBL bundle. I already showed all that stuff. So, all right, guys, there's just nothing going on. You know, I would think these markets would retest the lows. We'll see. You know, it's kind of responding halfway up this bar, like I said, holding these zones. There just hasn't been any volume events for me to trade them. That's just I have to have that to put trades on. I don't care what area we're in. I need it, even if it's a Ludwig level. Well, we might as well go over these quickly because I didn't really cover it. Because I still have 5 minutes left here that I usually stay on until 10:30. So again, everything's in here. I posted this link in the YouTube. Course spreadsheets if you want this stuff. If you can't get it in my trade room, if you're in my trade room, you get it for free. Here's the links to everything that I'm using. Apex, we haven't talked about that much. This is the one that I put my name behind. I've been using it for 2 years. Highly recommend it if you're undercapitalized, if you're practicing. Practice, not a game, practice. You know, this is the one I do for all these accounts that I'm trying to get accurate stats on, so on and so forth. So, you know, again, quickly, I know I go over this every week, but there's always new traders on here. So this one, you know, you use this code, you get whatever discount they got going on. Like right now, they got 71% off this price. Whatever they have. Sometimes it's 90%. This code works for anything, right? So use that code. But the point is here, you get an account. This one, if you do the 150, I still don't know why they say it's 150 when you can only lose 5,000, but it is what it is. You need to make 9,000 before you lose 5,000, and it's a trailing gig for the tryouts too. Meaning you get up $7,000. Remember, we're trying to make 9 here, and you drop back 5, you're out, right? So you got to really control your risk. I've had many accounts do that, so it sucks. You're still profitable. So if I drop back 5, I'm still profitable. I'm up $2,000. I blow out of the account. Right? It is what it is. Once you go live, it's a little different. Where say you go up $10,000. Well, you gotta get back. You gotta come back to zero to be blown out. It's not the 5,000 to give back type of thing, right? So, highly recommend these. That's on my website too. If you want to, this is the trading webinar I did with them. Where we go over it. I think this was over a year ago now. But they're I put my name behind them. They paid out. They do everything they say they're gonna do. There's no bullshit. Pardon my language. There's no you passed the combine. Now you got to do the secret squirrel combine and blah 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 nonsense. They're just trying to take your cash. They're not interested in. Most of these funding companies are not interested in funding traders. They're interested in taking this from you and having you blow out. because it's a great business model. Don't get me wrong, because most traders fail, right? But this one actually wants to fund traders, so they've paid out that much since 2022. That's a lot, right? So watch that webinar. It's on my website too. Other than that, that's the wrong one. And then the lugs, we talked about that at length today. Ludwig levels, go there. She has a 3-day trial. You can try them out. Once you go back, or once you use them, you'll never go back. They're incredible. When they go down, sometimes my trade room is like going crazy because it's like trading blind without them. Traders think that we haven't talked a lot about this, but this is discounts to this. You want to be using this. I need to be better at this. Document your trades. And then I think that's about it here. And then tick strike, discounts to that. I can't trade without it. Yeah, it gets crazy annoying when you have a position, you're watching a position going against you and you get to listen to it too. It drives you crazy, but I've been using this thing for 15 years. Can't trade without it. So discounts to everything in that link that I posted. All right, last chance for questions. No questions. All right, that's it. Everyone have a Merry Christmas. I think we'll do a webinar next week, right? Next Thursday? It should be. Christmas is on Monday, so I'll be back here Thursday. I do this twice. Well, lately I've been only doing morning webinars because the trade's been so bad, but I do the same thing every day in my room, live trading, just like this. Come in my trade room and you get everything, the spreadsheet and all that stuff for free. And other than that, you can get my course on my website as well. That's here. Brand new, 5 hours, covers, I've actually added, it's even more than that. Click on that and you can get here's a YouTube, I kind of go over everything that's in here. But this is the core of my trading. So you can come on my room and learn what I'm doing without the course, but it's going to take you a lot longer, right? If you get the course, you're up to speed. And then when you hear me talking live, because I cannot go over basic stuff when I'm trading live, right? Get the stuff down. Then when you're in my room, you know what the hell I'm talking about, right? All right. Merry Christmas to you all, and to all, good night. I'll see you next Thursday. Thanks.